Welcome to our third and final sail of our trip to the Lake District, in which we get our rails wet and I get attacked by a duck. So, we weren't as lucky on our third day of sailing up in the Lake District. Here you can see me, Richard and Ramon heading out of the marina on a grey and overcast day compared to the previous two. The wind had shifted around from the south to the northwest and it was very gusty. Not very strong in the marina, but we could see gusts down the lake. The problem with a wind with any west in it is that you tend to get the wind on the lake coming from three different directions, from both ends and from a gap in the westerly side. Given the conditions at this end of the lake, we decided to go with full main. But as you can see later in the video, we revised that decision before we got to Myrtle Bay. As you can see in a minute, by the time we got all of our sails up and trimmed, we were starting to get gusts through the western gap in the mountains. We were regularly doing speeds of around 6 knots on a close reach. And in the big gusts we hit 6.8 once, which is well above the Freedom 21's hull speed. That was a gust through the westerly gap in the mountains. And here comes another one. The gusts often come with a change in direction of the wind, either before, during, or after the gust. And it was like that all the way up the lake, mostly westerly, sometimes with a bit of south in it, sometimes not, sometimes gusty, sometimes lulls where winds from different directions cancel each other out. At this point we decided to put a reef in the main. It was getting difficult to steer in the gusts. We got that wreath put in just in time for the next big gust. You can see it coming here. As always, we were heading to Myrtle Bay where we would anchor up for lunch. But as we got towards Myrtle Bay, the wind became more and more unpredictable. Dead calm at times, followed by getting our rails well and truly wet. Repeat and rinse. It's coming from over here. Our usual anchoring place just coming up. So we start the motor and drop the sails. But something very odd happened to us while we were sitting eating our lunch in Myrtle Bay. A duck seemed to take interest in me sitting there. And then later came and sat on my shoulder.
What the fuck?
Let's see that again. And again. At this end of the lake, the wind was mostly in the south, so we decided to go with a full main on our way back, as we will be mostly downwind. It was still gusty, but our apparent wind would be less. So we got the anchor up, got the motor on, headed up to wind, and got our sails up.
a cry. Woo! Wow! Vertical takeoff and landing. Soon the bank of Babylon is closed. Weapons down the river. Empty trousers and his skin. The answer of Kali.
Well, that's it for this video. We managed to hit 8.5 knots at one point on the way home, but we're regularly seeing 6.5 to 7 knots. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Until next time.